Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
Meow, that's right.
All right, it is Thursday night in Tooney Town, and that can only mean one thing. It is time for Tooney Talk TV. Oh, man, folks, my name is Marvin, and I am the Movie Monster, and I am so thrilled to be joined by you guys here today, but I'm also thrilled to be joined by my panel tonight. First off, my regular co-host with the most. You know him, you love him, folks. If you listen to Tooney Talk Wrestling, he's one of our regulars over there as well. He is the one and only Kevin Apollo.
What up, gang?
Oh, my goodness.
You said with the most. I should have come in with it's showtime.
Yeah, I feel like Frodo right now at like the end, like at the end of Return of the King, where like he's standing in front of the lava and he's just going, "It's done," because that's how I feel at the end of the Acolyte. Like finally, this labor is finished. But it's not just the two of us this week, folks. We are also joined by the one and only master of video games and lost media from that puck place in his own channel, the one and only Nolan Thunder.
What's up, everybody?
How are you, Nolan?
Good. Just jamming out that freaking awesome intro you got.
I love our intro song. Like that fires me up. Like it really does. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the the song that we use for the Tooney Talk Wrestling, but I really like the instrumental that we use here. Now,
I like how this one's a better pump-up song than the wrestling channel. That's kind of funny to me.
Yeah, it is. It's so funny. But Nolan, you were wise and didn't actually watch The Acolyte. Is that right?
Yes, I would have to keep up with like what was going on, the streams and stuff, but that would have required me to start giving Disney money for that, and I was not giving that thing money.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Folks, The Acolyte has finished its 8-episode run. Clearly, and Kevin Apollo, do you agree with me? This was clearly conceived as a film, as a 2-hour film.
There is no doubt about it. This was a belligerent waste of time and resources.
So Leslie got a direct-to-video movie, basically.
Yeah, no, it was $180 million to make this Drek. Like, where did it go? Like, what I said in my review, I was like, were they staying at Buckingham Palace and Gordon Ramsay was doing the catering? Like,
dude, I don't get it. Well, I guess, are we talking about Doctor Who today? Because I have a similar question for that too. After seeing the budgetary breakdowns per episode for Doctor Who.
Oh, I didn't see the budgetary breakdowns for Doctor Who.
Oh, essentially, because of the influx of Disney cash, when you do when you adjust the pounds to dollars, they had essentially $12 to $13 million per episode. That includes the Christmas special.
What?
And
Wait, $12 to $13 million per episode for that.
Where did all this money go? I need to know. I should not have gone into HR. I should have gone into Hollywood accounting.
For real, like, man, they are moving around money like there's no tomorrow. My goodness, folks, if you want to make your voice heard tonight, as part of the show, make yourself heard as part of the Tooney Town community. Talk about The Acolyte or anything else you guys want to discuss in the world of pop culture, TVs, movies, games, whatever. Just send us out a little super chat, and we will read it aloud on the air, much like the first super chat we're about to read from John JID 999. Glad it's over, and I can forget about The Acolyte. Yep, for me, I got like one more week of having to cover it. I got to do the review. I got a couple of videos dropping over the next couple of days about like other things about it. We got to talk about it tonight. But then after that, I can finally put it behind me.
You know what you need to do for your review? You just need to randomly have Kevin at the very end of it, just coming out of a cave and had like nothing to the story or anything like that. Just have him cameo at the end.
Yes, yeah, have him do the Darth Plagueis cameo. Like, right.
Yes.
Yeah, the Mr. Roper. He essentially looked into the camera and winked.
Mr. Roper. Oh my God, he was Mr. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, no, that to me felt like somebody was like, Leslie, you cannot do this. You cannot just ignore the fact that the Bane-Nite Sith exist. You have to actually acknowledge the fact they exist. And she was like, fine. And so she threw him in there in a place where it didn't make any sense. Most people probably didn't even know who the heck he was. I mean, only people like us would know.
Do you remember back when shows would actually, explain who their cameo characters were and didn't just rely on you to just magically know what the source material was?
Yeah. No,
I missed it. I missed it the first time around. I turned my head and missed the Plagueis thing? Yeah, and had to go back in and watch it.
Yeah, no, Darth Plagueis showing up was I literally at first I gasped because I couldn't believe A, that he was there, and B, that he was immune. Like, because I thought that the first thing that they were going to do was change the fact that he's immune. Immune beings from the planet Munilus, the banking clan will sign your treaty. That's what immune is. And
when are we going to get the Techno Union drone Sith Lord? Like,
that would actually kind of be badass, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man, but it's it's so funny. I'm continuing to talk about the Acolyte, but all I want to do right now is run to my couch, with Mrs. Movie Monster and the Movie Monster dog, and watch Cobra Kai, because season 6 dropped today, and Cobra Kai is the best show ever. I'm sorry. Like, Kevin, have you watched Cobra Kai?
I have not, because I wasn't watching it on YouTube. And then when I went to Netflix, that's when I had removed and banned Netflix from my home, and have only begrudgingly just recently put it back so that I can watch Raw.
I legitimately think you would enjoy it. It really kind of takes the air out of like modern day virtue signaling culture, and but there's something for everybody in it. And the characters, man, they go on such incredible arcs. And if you are like us and you have watched the Karate Kid movies, the first 3 Karate Kid movies, like religiously over and over and over again, like we have, there's so much in there for you. Like, everybody that can come back comes back, except like Miyagi obviously can't, but I'm still hoping they do.
Does the girl come back?
Which one?
Hilary Swank,
from the next Karate Kid.
Oh no, the rumor is that she might come back this season. I haven't actually gotten to it yet.
Ooh, okay, that would be interesting.
She was on a radio show like 2 years ago, and they asked her about it, and she made a joke and said she was very willing to do it. I'm hoping
Hilary
Swank movie.
Oh, the fact that Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan are doing a movie together, and it's going to be I can't wait to see Ralph Macchio doing his weird karate next to Jackie Chan. like I hope they fight, because that'll be the most mismatched ass kick of Asian on white violence since the Batman Green Hornet crossover episode when Burt Ward as Robin fought Bruce Lee as Kato.
Bruce Lee just beating Burt Ward to death for 2 straight episodes.
Yes! Anytime they come in contact, it's just like, wow, Robin's a little outmatched here. But yeah, look, it's more than just fan service. It's more than just nostalgia. The kids in it are all great. I really enjoy all the characters. They go through arcs. They go through story arcs. You see them change from season to season. There's payoffs. Things make sense. It's insane to go from watching The Acolyte to watching that. I've been re-binging it for the last 3 weeks and just loving every second of it. AEW Neckbeards, a producer over at Tooney Talk Wrestling, says Excelsior, and he gave us a Tooney. So thank you for that, friend from north of the border. Adair Soto for $5 says, I bet Darth Plagueis has been looking for the $180 million. Oh, it's a good one. Oh man,
I'm sure. I'm sure it's like
but by including him and having him like peering out and spying, a lot of people have made, and I'm sure this was the intention, have made the observation that, oh, okay, so Darth Plagueis has learned that you can create life out of nothing from watching the lesbian space witches.
Well, I would say so. Either he was living in the cave, like Tom Hanks and Bosom Buddies, pretending to be a witch and learning, or he's just the nosy neighbor from Bewitched, and it's like, Abner, they're doing weird stuff over there. They're making babies out of nothing, Abner. Sit down, Plagueis. Sit down. Mind your business.
I so wish you guys wrote the Acolyte because this film show would have been the best satire ever.
Oh my god!
There's a gorilla over there. Where'd the gorilla come from?
Alice, I'm just gonna walk over to the. I'm gonna walk over to the window. I'm gonna look out the window. There's gonna be nothing there. So why don't you just go in there, make me a sandwich, and then come sit down.
I'm telling you right now, there's something weird going on in that cave of lesbians. Space lesbians.
It'd be even better if he was like on lesbian witch mountain, like peering in at him. Abner.
Oh, by the way, Marvin, the other day on that after party stream, when you said like, "Oh yeah, the whatever from Lesbian Witch Mountain," I freaking died when you said that. Like,
oh, what did I call it? Lesbian Witch Mountain?
Yes,
that's what it is. We return once more to Lesbian Witch Mountain.
Does it include Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as well?
Well, why would he be on return to Lesbian Witch Mountain? Yeah, that would be.
Escape from Witch Mountain or whatever it was called back in the day.
Maybe he was just there for like the nice little plunge pool that Smilo Ren keeps in his little cave there. Also, like, I'm not for nothing. I'm sorry. If you're not going to go the route of Smilo Ren was his first apprentice or something like that, if there is a guy out there posturing around with a red lightsaber, calling himself a Sith to the Jedi, Darth Plagueis is showing up and he is killing him so dead so fast.
I guess so. So somehow, Smilo Ren has all this Sith knowledge, and apparently no one taught it to him. Or Plagueis just leaves his diary all over the place, all over in the cave. The dear diary, I felt a presence. It was a bee. I stepped on it. I poured light out on it and watched it die. Like all these weird little dark side musings for him to absorb. Then a logical person would have to go, oh, maybe his former master is a Sith, and she's hiding on the council, and so she's really the villain of the story, which would explain why she's lying to everybody and acts like she is she's got less charisma than a Jose Canseco baseball bat.
Now, I am just glad that we Jose Canseco bat. Tell me you didn't pay money for this.
2 for 1.
You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. We're quoting the Ninja Turtles movie. But yeah, thank God though, in that last scene they cut it off before Yoda actually did or said anything.
Yoda the clown, who is so inept at leading the council that he has no idea. Oh,
well, do you think he had no idea, or do you think they were going to have Yoda be a part of the cover-up, just to like character? Because I called from the very beginning
the character
assassination of Yoda.
The power of one, the power of many.
Ridiculous this is. And like
I'm starting to understand why he decided when things went south, he was immediately like, swamp time, baby. Like,
yeah.
Earned a vacation I have. Just had a crazy old man just threw the Senate at him. He was like, I'm done for a little bit.
As it failed, I have.
On
vacation, I must go.
Into exile, I must go. Are you sure you don't want to stick around and help us fight the into exile? I must go.
I'm starting to understand why in Star Wars the Rebel Alliance was so strongly unified against the Empire. It's not because of dying for the cause. No, it's because everyone else in the galaxy is a bunch of idiots and creepy.
I just love Yoda. Like, he spent the last like 7 years fighting robots on backwater planets, and he's just and now this crazy man just killed all his friends and threw the Senate at him, and he's just like, that's it, I'm done.
That was the dumbest part of that movie.
How about the fact that the light whip never came back after building up this light whip and showing it? Now, and I said as a joke, I was like, wouldn't it be hysterical if they never show it again?
And they did exactly that.
They never showed it again.
I have to wonder if that was Filoni looks like, we have done enough damage. We can't possibly put this in there. We'll put it in the trailer.
I feel like Filoni's like, what more can we do that's even more bold for this series? Like, imagine what kind of ideas they're coming up with as we talk in this show.
There are certain things that you know were Dave Filoni insertions, Cortosis being one of them, Darth Plagueis being the other. And you know, but like a lot of Dave Filoni has given up his role as like the keeper of all things Star Wars, the George Lucas Padawan that we all believed him to be at one time. I trusted Dave Filoni implicitly, and now I did too. I think he's the fall guy.
Where listen, we are all Obi-Wan standing at the top, standing on the high ground, going, "You were the chosen one. I trusted you.
You were my brother, David. I trusted you. I loved you.
I loved you.
I love
Rebels. I love Rebels."
I'm picturing Dave Filoni, but he's in agony. But instead of being entirely on fire, it's just his hat that's on fire, and for some reason that's hurting him.
No, the hat's the only thing that survives the burning.
No,
the hat's the Teflon. I legitimately think that that he is just so henpecked and browbeaten at Lucasfilm that he just has to approve whatever. They're like, "Oh, Dave Filoni approved all of this," and I'm like, "No, I'm pretty sure Dave Filoni was told he had to approve all of this."
I don't know. I feel
it's exactly what the vision of what George would do. Didn't you know?
I feel like when he was learning how to direct on the set of Last Jedi, that he had a moment where he could have been like, "Don't do this. This is terrible." And instead he shut up and learned what he needed to learn to go give us a very boring Ahsoka series.
Oh, yeah, no, that Ahsoka series was gone. But folks, joining us also this week, our friend and colleague from That Park Place, Martin Stone.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Welcome,
Martin.
Martin.
The sea is angry today, my friends.
Yeah, no, the sea is angry indeed. But you know what? I think we're all breathing a little easier. The Acolyte is done. There is no second season in sight, despite she did this whole interview where she was like, "I don't write as if there's going to be a second season." And I'm like, okay, yes, you did. Because this ends with it being like, hey, here comes season 2. Like, we're set up for a second season here that hopefully will never come. I cannot imagine. It would
this
be
ending should have been the second episode.
It would be the most fiscally responsible thing any studio has ever done if they greenlit a second season of this. It lost 75% of the Mandalorian's audience.
Ooh.
75%.
Yikes.
Legit.
Yikes.
All right. So a couple more stats to get to.
I feel like it almost guarantees it a second season at this point.
Well, no, because Kathleen Kennedy is extremely, petty, and she could do it out of spite. A Dare Soda for $2. Also, let's not forget about the Peter Pan flight. Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
the Peter Pan, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon fight where Soul was very clearly replaced by a stunt actor whose face is in full view, or like the weird like multiple kicks that he hits. It was just awful. But folks, you can't talk about Star Wars without having our next panelist here, and that is the one and only, the man who abstained from watching this show rightfully, the one and only Lorne Connor from That Park Place. Hello, Lorne.
Hey, folks. How's everybody doing?
You must be feeling really comfortable with your decision to not watch The Acolyte after hearing what all of us have been saying for all of these weeks.
Well, I'll tell you, I was having second thoughts about my decision before the show started, because there was a small part of me that wondered, as much as much weight as they're putting behind this show, and knowing that they were going to be doing something a little more practical, more in the line of Andor, say, than some of the stuff they've done on the volume, I thought maybe this might actually turn out okay. But as the weeks went on and I had to listen to more and more of what you guys had to say, it became funnier and funnier to me, because Ahsoka really kind of broke my heart. That was a show that physically hurt me. And so,
but now you liked did you like the Clone Wars and Rebels?
Yes, generally. The Clone Wars, I kind of felt like a lot of it was 50-50. There's a lot of really good stuff in the Clone Wars. There's a lot of really bad stuff in the Clone Wars. I feel the same way about Rebels. There's a lot about Rebels that I liked. There's a lot about Rebels that I didn't like. But once we got to the Book of Boba Fett, things started to get pretty bad, and then we hit Obi-Wan. And that, for me, I kind of felt that was their last chance to try and turn things around. The Mandalorian season 3 was just awful.
Just so bad. So bad.
The only thing that really worked for me after Mandalorian season 2 was Andor. And I was really tough on Andor up until episode 5. And after that, it finally took off. And I really enjoyed it after that point. Ahsoka was something that I felt like had potential. This is something that, Ahsoka's a beloved character, and the Rebels characters are, at least certain portions of the fandom beloved. But it felt in that show like Dave didn't understand the characters that he himself created. And worse, tarnished Thrawn in the process. And after that, it's like, no, I just cannot, I can't endorse any of this anymore. So, after hearing you guys talk for weeks, I've had a great time watching you guys enjoy it.
Now, there has been discussion about possibly getting some kind of charity stream together where you watch the Acolyte from start to finish, and I absolutely love that idea. Did you see what I said? I said to you in private that they used Trickata. Soul used Trickata.
Yeah, I saw the message. I haven't really seen much in the way of the fights. I can see that being used as a viable strategy in a fight once. The way you were talking about it, did they use it a lot?
No, he only used it once. But the point that I was making with it was Trickata is a Jedi lightsaber technique wherein the Jedi activates and deactivates their lightsaber during the fight. Now, the Sith don't typically do it because they believe it shows weakness and they want to operate from a position of strength. The Jedi don't do it because it's deception. And so typically you don't see a Jedi use Trickata, and Soul had no problem doing it. So just further, the character assassination of Soul, the scumbag Jedi, the Jedi who became infatuated with a little girl after spying on her in the woods and then following her home and breaking into her house.
Yeah, again, not having seen the show, it's kind of hard for me to comment on it, but I kind of think that the idea of shutting your lightsaber off in combat, if you're going to do it to try and cause your opponent to overbalance, I can see it as being a surprise tactic that works once. But the problem with it is that once one person does it and it becomes viable as a strategy, it becomes hard to describe why isn't everybody doing it, and then the fights start looking really, really silly.
Well, we also learned from this that the Force Fu that they put in Ahsoka is not going away anytime soon. The Jedi are fully committed to Force Fu at this point.
I think your point too, Lauren, also speaks volumes of everything that's kind of going on in modern Hollywood with superhero movies too. Because you think about it, since we've gotten so far now off the deep end with multiverses and about anything can happen, it's pretty much going to because these movies are basically a reflection of how kids play pretend with their toys. And if you start going into territories where all of a sudden, I don't know, Batman can start flying across the air or something like that, it starts taking away any sense of gravity and realism, and it takes away all the tension, the drama, the uniqueness of these characters. And I don't know, what you say kind of sticks with me. I feel like almost a lot of our characters now, especially the female ones, when they can do everything, it makes them less special in regards to, because now they're just everybody.
Of course.
There's two ways I would respond to that, I think. And that is, if you want to see what it looks like when kids are playing with Star Wars toys and putting that on screen, that's exactly what The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 were. Going so far as to bring like the Stormtrooper transport Kenner toy into live action. You know, and you know, that stuff was actually cool and it worked. And it was because John is familiar with this universe. He cares for it. He has a respect for it. But when you look at what Marvel did, they let their success go way to their heads. They got to a point where they had done such a good job all the way up through the end of the Infinity Gauntlet cycle that they decided that they could put anything on the screen and it didn't matter what it was. Everybody was going to watch it. And I think had they been a little more thoughtful about things, they wanted to dive, one, straight into the MCU, and secondly, straight into the multiverse. The multiverse is the last story that you tell before you do a full universal reboot. You don't do it in the middle when you know there's going to be a phase after it. That was just bad tactical planning.
Agreed. You can't go anywhere from there. Like, there's no topping. It's like a lot of shows, like when they're not written too well, like they get to the point where they're either having to save the whole planet or they need to go to space. Once you hit those points, a lot of people can't write beyond that because every story just becomes trying to outdo it. What happens now? Oh, we make a Death Star that instead of destroying one planet, it destroys 12 of them at once. Yeah.
Well, this is where spectacle gets you in trouble too, because I think in a lot of sequels, the idea is that you have to go bigger, when actually a lot of times it's smarter to go smaller.
Agreed.
What brings people in is characters. You have to have empathy for the people that are on screen. And sometimes that means you have smaller, quieter moments where you have character building between different characters. That's what gets you invested. I think the best example of that, to my mind, I think one of the most misunderstood characters ever is Superman, because you have so many people now say it's popular to say, well, he's a boring character because he has all these powers.
People don't know how to write him, Lauren, right? They don't know. They don't understand.
They don't understand.
I'm sorry, Lauren, go ahead.
The way you attack Superman is through his heart. You put him in a situation where, for all his strength, for all his ability, you have to put him in a situation where he might have to compromise his morals. And what makes him the Man of Steel is that he doesn't. That's why Snyder's Superman doesn't work. Clark would find a way not to snap Zod's neck.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure that out, then you can't write Superman. The brilliance of the Superman character, when told correctly, is his strength is in many ways his weakness, is that he can't always use all of that strength. He has to find a way to limit himself to not go overboard. I don't know about you guys, my favorite Superman story is Red Sun, where you get the story of what does a Superman look like who was not
Kansas.
Raised with the Kent's ideals.
Although in a way, that's not a Superman story.
Well, I think that it is, because Lex, the beauty of that story is you have all of these characters. You have Wonder Woman, you have Batman with his beautiful flap hat, and you got the Green Lantern Corps. And in this case, it's Lex who gets through to Superman and says, why don't you put the whole world in a bottle? And that's the thing that breaks it. That's when he realizes, I've been on the wrong path. I think it's a beautiful story. I didn't understand it the first time I read it. The first time I read it, I read it and it's like, I don't like this. And I kind of tossed it away, but it stuck in my head. And I came back to it and I read it 2 or 3 more times. It's like, you know what? I think this might be the very best Superman story I've ever read.
You know, there's a Superman story by Alex Ross, or at least he did the art for it. The one where he tries to take all the surplus food from the first world and distribute it in the third world, and all the warlords stop him, and it just kind of breaks him.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
But it goes to the same thing. It's what you're doing is he's an idealist, and that's why you love him, is you want to have a guy with strong morals and ideals to root for. But he can be hurt when things don't live up to those ideals. And when he can't be as perfect as he wants to be, that's how you attack Superman, is you got to get to him through his heart.
And you know what, Lauren? That's why I can't stand all like the God talk about him. Like, oh, he's a God. No, he's not. The point of him is that he's not. He has all these powers, but he's a man. He is a mortal man, and he chooses to do right. And that's the thing that always strikes me. Is that, look, Marvel showed us that you can do the Boy Scout hero and have it be enthralling with Captain America. Because we had, Captain America had those stories where his morals were compromised. In Winter Soldier, you had this whole thing where, like, oh my gosh, the establishment that I returned to is completely corrupt and has been infected by this disease. And then in Civil War, it becomes, no, I'm rebelling against this system. And it worked on such a wonderful level by using his morals as the backbone of the story. And that's what we need with Superman. And
I would argue, too, that it's brilliant because it brings in all sides of the political spectrum. Everybody understands those stories. And it's not offensive because it's plausible. Steve Rogers is not acting out of character. When the government is being corrupt, it's not acting out of character. And that's something that the right and the left can agree on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree.
And this constant ratcheting of spectacle, it doesn't make sense for so many characters. Like, you can do a World's Finest, you can do a Batman versus Superman, but you know what the next Batman movie needs to be? Him racing against the clock to save one little girl from the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Something small and personal.
Yep. Well, that's every Batman movie has turned into, race, like this big, like, city destroying event. Mm-hmm. That was all three of the Nolan movies were all just like massive scale events. And and that's why I've always said Batman would work better as like a Max original series. Instead of being a movie, because you can tell those smaller stories in live action that we've never gotten before. With TV, you could dive more into his journey as a detective. You can dive more into his psychosis. You can introduce Robin slowly and show the effect that he has on him over a multi-episode arc. There's so much you could do with Batman on television that you cannot do with him in movies, but Warner Brothers sees box office and they don't see, what the opportunity of what it could be.
Batman's been on the big screen since, just a few short years after he popped up. You're not, they're going, we're not going to bench a guaranteed box office draw and put them on TV.
But also, can't you have more than one thing? Can't you have a Batman TV show and a movie? People are smart. They're not going to.
They used to do that. They used to do that. They would have the animated series was going around the same time as the Schumacher films. Like,
you remember? Well, I guess it's really more of an '80s thing. But remember, you would get the movie, and then you would get the TV series.
Exactly.
The cast, and somehow the movie still happened in the in the TV show, and if a sequel came out, a sequel came out. If a sequel didn't come out, a sequel didn't come out.
Ghostbusters.
RoboCop.
I want to ask a question then. What was your guys' take on the most recent Batman movie? And what are your thoughts about the upcoming Penguin series?
Okay, I will go first because I think I'll have the least to bring to this conversation. Now, I can talk about Batman movies probably for 24 hours straight, but this is my opinion on that movie. It must have failed at something because to this day, it is the only live-action Batman I somehow have never seen. And it usually, like in my mind, logically, I think a Batman movie, I would go there day one dressed up as Batman himself or something like that. It sounds like fun. But I think just everything I had been looking for to see to get me excited for one of the most beloved icons of the silver screen, not even just in comic books, but it was always an event whenever a Batman movie came out. The Dark Knight changed the world, 89, even the Schumacher films to an extent, it was always a big deal. Like everybody knew these films were coming out. It was just such an afterthought. I just completely skipped out on it. And I just feel like it's commentary of just how much Warner Brothers lost the zeitgeist and the money cow that was Batman. But that's my thoughts on it.
I like that they went with young, angry Batman. That was a good choice. I could have done with more brain puzzle detective stuff,
especially with the
real
Riddler as the villain, right? Like
he didn't figure anything out. That's my biggest. I thought that it was acted fine, whatever. I thought it was just slow, boring, and Batman didn't actually do anything helpful to the plot. I watched Twilight do his best Kurt Cobain impression, and we just punched through, and there was a lot of water, and he got a great establishing shot at the end of the movie, and I'm not excited for a sequel by any stretch of the imagination. I'm also at the point too, though, where in terms of Batman movies, I want a more comic book centric Batman movie. I want to see the Bat family.
We haven't had that in since 1997 on the silver screen, an actual comic book Batman movie.
Yeah.
So when you say that, Kevin, do you mean that you're wanting to see more of the rogues gallery? Do you want to see more of the villains, or?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So I'll put it to you like this. I look at Batman movies like almost like Bond movies. You always need the big over the top villain with the super scheme, but other than the climax, everything is still kind of grounded. Like, I'm racing to get my tool to go get to the next phase of the plan. There's if there's a mystery, he's trying to figure it out. He's piecing it together. He's going to an ally here, an ally there, and then you kind of trip into a fight, and then you roll into the next thing. To me, I'm like, well, for Batman fans, Nightwing has been around forever. People want to see Nightwing. They want to see a Robin. They want to see Batgirl. Listen, even Red Hood is absurdly popular. At some point in time, you've got to give comic book fans what they want, and they want to see the entirety of the Bat family beating a whole bunch of people up, stopping this insanely impossible scheme from happening. And if there are too many characters and you have to have one character in it, then fine, jam them in there. Just don't kill anybody. But it's like there's either give me let's do something super simple, like Ra's al Ghul is upset about something. We're dropping in a bunch of ninjas, and oh, by the way, this little side character here is plotting this, and these two plots are going to overlap, and now there's a giant fight in the middle of this. You know what? Give me the raid with the Bat family. We're working our way from the first floor,
the Raid Redemption,
and we're beating everybody up. And each fifth floor has a major member of the Rogues Gallery for some kind of extended cameo until you get to the major villain.
Oh no! Hey,
I want the raid. I want the purge.
I didn't know that you'd seen the Raid Redemption.
Oh, I love the raid.
So good. So good. Martin, what were you saying?
Well, I was saying have them go down to a Lazarus pit instead of up a tower, down a Lazarus pit.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I liked the Batman just fine. I thought it was good. I thought it's one of those ones that kind of overuses its musical score a little bit, because how many times do we hear dun 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 dun?
I will take it over Hans Zimmer, though. I'll take it over Hans Zimmer any day.
I kind of like the Hans Zimmer score, but anyway, you had I thought he did a fine enough job. I like young, angry Batman. I thought what's his name? Gollum. Andy Serkis. I thought Andy Serkis was a very passable Alfred for that kind of Alfred. The the MI6 version of Alfred, which is probably my favorite Alfred. I thought the Penguin was great. That being said, I don't want to see that Penguin show. I really don't. I don't want to see it at all, because I am tired of Batman shows that don't have Batman in it.
Okay, so I was leading up to a question, but you sort of just killed it there.
Sorry, Lon. What was the question?
Well, first I was going to say the Batman movie with Pattinson hit me different than I thought it was going to. I didn't think I was going to like it at all. And I do think that it falls apart in the third act. I don't think that it has a good resolution. But what I liked about the movie wasn't really Robert Pattinson or really much of the plot. Really, to me, it felt like I'm still convinced that wasn't really the Riddler. I think that was Hush. But I thought that this was a movie that got Gotham City right. That was Gotham City to me. And I actually liked his version of the Batmobile too, which surprised me because I'm a huge sucker for the Tumbler. What I was going to ask is, what if I pitched you the reverse, which is not a Batman story that has got all the rogues gallery and is a real comic book movie? What if instead you had a Gotham Central show that was Jim Gordon and Renee Montoya and Harvey Bullock, and them doing something like a Law and Order, just happens to be in Gotham City?
Yeah,
wasn't that what Gotham was supposed to be originally?
Originally,
I pitched as before it became just a straight up Batman show.
This is a discussion I've had many times in my old comic shop. I used to purchase entirely too many comics. I look back now and go, I wasted a lot of money in my young life. I'd have like each pull week was over 100 books. But
this is a safe
you were dropping some cash. That's a lot of money,
especially after 2008 hit and everything changed, and we needed an excuse to jack up the price of all the books. It was a terrible time. But I would look at something like Gotham Central and go, to me, I always thought it would be fascinating if you got a Law and Order writer to sit down and just give me some Gotham Central stories, because we know Batman isn't on the clock all the time. There is police work that happens in Gotham. And you could allude to the Batman. You could have him be present without being present. You could use other characters. You could have Bullock and Montoya dealing with the Zaz. There's a lot you could do that I think would be very interesting, that could support like an expanded movie universe. But with the Penguin, I like Colin Farrell. I'm not too super crazy. I like my Penguin more of an aristocrat, as opposed to the Joyzy gangster. It's like I get it.
What I felt got the Penguin perfect was the Arkham games.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
He sounded like Bob Hoskins, and I liked. He was aristocratic, but he was also tough.
Can I say how much I loved in Arkham City that his monocle was literally like a glass ball that someone launched his eye? I thought that was genius.
I'm over the I don't need to see the villain's origin story. Can we just let the bad guy be the bad guy? The plot usually tells you what you need to know about the villain and their motivations. I don't know why we're obsessed with having to watch the bad guy rise to power. We took out all the Falcones, the Falcone family in the last one. All right, there's a power vacuum. When we jump back into the show, Oswald can be one of the few who is fighting for power, and you've got a Maroni and whoever else you want to get in there. But
Black Man,
do you really need an entire show, especially when, as the character gets more and more out of control, Batman isn't showing up? So what's the point? And it's Penguin is a major member of his rogues gallery, so Batman should be showing up.
Yeah, Can I say something in regards to the whole Batman discussion as a whole, a little food for thought? When The Dark Knight and, really Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy came out in 2005, it took a lot of guts to go in that direction, because people were fresh off of, Batman and Robin, and even to an extent still going back the Adam West series, the more comic book central type take on the character. It was so hard for them. They were trying to do all this work to get like a Batman Year One movie made, which completely fell apart. And it really took a lot of faith and a lot of decision and guts from the director to be able to make this film happen. I feel like now we're almost seeing like the opposite of that. Whereas now every film is trying to be like The Dark Knight. It feels like it's a safe bet to make like a Penguin mob boss show or like a crime Gotham Syndicate show. it seems like now, ironically, kind of like what Kevin was saying earlier, where you want to see more of the Bat family, it's more of a chance to try to just see Robin in a movie. We haven't had Robin properly in a movie in like
Ever.
20-something years now.
No, never. We have never had Robin properly in a movie, Nolan. Ever.
Because we had a grown man playing Robin.
Yeah, we had a 35-year-old man as Robin.
All right, so
debatable.
My next question then: do you do Dick Grayson? Do you do Jason Todd? Do you do Tim Drake? Or do you do?
So where they are right now in James Gunn's universe, this is how I do it. I
can't stand Damien.
So we know we're getting Damien because we know that the Brave and the Bold is Batman and Son. I would have Dick is already Nightwing and he has been Robin. I would have Tim kind of as a retired Robin. Jason has just died, and Batman is emotionally wrecked, and that's when Damien comes into his life, and he won't let him be Robin because he doesn't want another Jason. And then you've got the point where eventually he becomes Robin, and then it ends. They have a whole thing with Ra's al Ghul. It ends with Ra's al Ghul being like, "All right, you took my boy, I'm going to take yours," and they throw Jason's body into the Lazarus pit, and that's your second movie. I think we're far enough along. When you get Robin as a kid, you're gonna get Damien at this point. They're all in on Damien.
You're comfortable with switching the order of Jason and Tim, though?
Oh, you're right. I did say Jason before Tim. Unfortunately, in this situation, you'd probably have to take Tim out.
Yeah.
I feel like Tim would win in the popularity contest. I feel like they would take the bet and go with Tim because he has so many comics about him.
Tim is the poor not wanting to give Chuck Dixon his due. Tim is the definitive Robin. Dick Grayson, I agree. Dick Grayson is the legacy Robin, but Tim Drake is the Robin. When you think Robin, that's who you're talking about. He is by far the most successful, most memorable. That 90s run proved that sidekick characters can draw. Because listen, Dick, his drawing power was people loved Robin, but he was with the Titans. He was never by himself. Tim Drake by himself was a book that sold just as well as Batman, not almost as well as Batman, sold just as well as Batman. It was a had to read book for a very long time. This whatever this bizarre thing is where we have to do everything we can to kind of throw them off to the side. That's a whole nother show for another time. But
Robin that could end up being a better detective than Batman is an interesting Robin.
That's the beauty of Tim, is that Tim is like, when you look at all the Batman, Tim is the Robin who becomes the next Batman.
We've always said, Kevin and I have had so many conversations about this, that Tim is the successor.
Mm-hmm.
Now they want to say it's Damien because we've essentially erased him from everything now since Damien showed up. But man, he's such a good character. Such a good character.
And one of the things I think is interesting is that Dick is physically superior to Bruce. Like he's a more naturally gifted athlete than even Bruce is. Tim is maybe mentally superior than Bruce, except Bruce has obviously trained himself beyond what anybody could reasonably expect. And then you've got Damien and Jason, and they're Bruce's anger gone wild.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say, Damien is what happens when you don't have Alfred raising you. Listen, I would even say that there's room for them all, right? Like I think we're at a point now where, especially with legacy characters, I don't really think people want to see origin movies anymore. Again, that's why I always go back to Bond. We know what the story is. Just jump in. I don't need to see Uncle Ben ever die again. I don't ever need to see the Waynes die again. I don't even want to talk about it. At this point, again, I always go, even in the comics, they realized, whether it was by accident or not, always having to go back to the Waynes for Bruce's motivation. You know what? Making it Jason for a little while was genius. Making it Glenn for Spider-Man was genius. Again, happy accidents, but you have to reinvigorate the character somehow. And if you're not going to do it through, if it's going to be through some kind of a personal sacrifice or major defeat, then be willing to move that character along, in the story and in the movies too. Opening up and having Batman. Then, Batman technically should have been active, although in private, longer than Clark has been exposed to the world. So having Batman running around Gotham in secret for about 5 years before Superman appears, cool. He can have adopted a 16-year-old Dick Grayson, so that by the time you're jumping into the story, Dick can be 21, to 20, 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there, where he's about to hit his I'm venturing out into the world by myself thing. In reality, Jason was not Robin for very long. Maybe a year and a half, maybe two, before he meets his demise. And then for the kids, because you got to have a Spider-Man type. Meeting a 15-year-old Tim Drake gives you your Peter Parker fix for the DC. We tried it with Jaime, it didn't quite work, but I think the teen wish fulfillment is in telling Tim's story, and then you can also introduce Damian, because now you can tell the Batman being a dad story, and having Batman have to you can get the my three sons moment, with all the Robins together. after they together, and then you just let Tim become Red Robin. Because I'll give him this: one of the few things that worked in New 52 was Tim's Red Robin costume.
I like that costume. That was a good costume.
That's a Kingdom Come costume.
But yeah, well, it's an offshoot of the Kingdom Come costume. I do love though. We didn't get a chance to say. I think one of my favorite stories actually was the original Weekly 52 story, up to and including the World War III stuff.
I loved that. That was when you and I said, "Wouldn't it be great if The Rock was Black Adam?"
Yes.
And then 20 years later, we got it. And it was okay.
Yeah. And then in the Countdown story, when they're multiverse hopping, and they go to
hold on. If we're talking about 52, we have another panelist waiting who wants to come in, who I know is a fan of this book. Ladies and gentlemen, the editor-in-chief of Bounding into Comics, the one and only Spencer Bakuli.
Oh, cool.
Spencer.
Oh, there, I thought my camera was on. What is up, everybody? Sorry I am late. Arizona traffic is absolutely the worst. I just spent an extra hour I didn't need to sweating my fun stuff off trying to get here, but I'm here. I've been listening to you guys on the ride over. Great Robin talk. And Kev, you just brought up 52, and I just wanted to, I don't want to step over you. I want you to keep going, but I just want to say I love 52. I've literally met like nobody else who loves that book as much as I do. So my best friend, keep going.
Awesome. Cool. We can swing back and talk more. I was really using the jump to Countdown. So
I know.
How we got the Red Robin Cup. So I do love the fact that when Jason jumps in, Dick has to swap out for whatever reason, and now Jason's traveling. I think it was with Donna. It was with Donna and Kyle. With Donna and Kyle, they get to the Earth where Batman did avenge Jason's death, and then like they're teaming up, being Psycho, the Psycho family. And then what is it? It's one of the Ultramen kills Bruce, and then Jason dons the Red Robin costume. I was like, oh, this is a cool moment. And then a battle for the cowl, he gives the costume over to Tim, and I'm one of those like, there's room for everybody if you sit down and take the 3 seconds to tell the story. Like, one of the things that I think DC did very well up until very recently was they embraced legacy. That's why you can have Alan Scott. It's why you can have Hal. It's why you can have Guy. It's why you can have John. It's why you can have Kyle. It's why you can have Jay and Wally and Barry. It's, hey, more than one person has this mantle. Their stories are all very different. Just go with it. I think now we're we're for whatever reason we're overthinking things and making it more complicated than it needs to be. But again, that's also a whole nother discussion for another panel for another time. But I don't see why you can't do this in movies. Fans are smart. All you have to do is just explain it. Explain it like you're 5. Explain it to me like I'm 5, and people will roll with it. It's not that complicated. We got so far away from it. I was like, I don't understand why Marvel jumped into a multiverse. The multiverse has never been a thing for Marvel up until recently.
It's a DC thing. It's 100%.
It's always been a DC thing. So to me, it was kind of silly where I got it. You killed all your main cast members, and you realize that you probably should be just recasting instead of offing the character.
The way they always to do it was like Marvel, at least in the comics, it was like Marvel Multiverse was sort of everyday things. Their multiverse was expansive to the point where if you like had a different cereal in the morning, that's another universe. That's Earth 9481 or whatever, that's like one neat idea, right? The whole the limitless possibilities of life, like that's cool. But I like DC's because it was, at least post Infinite Crisis, it was 52 different worlds, all distinct. Like everybody is different. Like that's the evil world. That's the steampunk world. That's the magic world. Like that, they all had specific themes. So I always thought that was something they should have leaned more into. And they always keep going back and forth. Here's 52 worlds. Now there's a multiverse. Now there's only 52 again. Now there's another multiverse. Now there's one. Now there's they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Do you remember an episode?
The one constant in the multiverse is the multiverse always comes back. What were you saying, Martin? I'm sorry.
Do you remember an episode of the animated series where it was a bunch of kids talking about Batman?
I love
that episode.
One of my
great episodes. I would love
that episode has the only cameo. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it has a cameo from Dark Knight Returns. One of the stories, the way they portray him, the way they think about him, he's Dark Knight Returns, and all the punks are the mutants. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Like that's the way you do it. Like, yeah, it's so.
And they're so dismissive of that
called
kid.
Legends of the Dark Knight, I believe is the name of the episode.
I think that's it. They're so dismissive of that kid Joel.
Yes.
Who's working in front of Schumacher shoes or something like that.
But what I was going to say is, you've got all these Robins who have been with Bruce at different parts of his life. That would be a great episode. The Robins in a cave talking about Batman.
That could even be a movie.
That would be a good
honestly.
model.
A pivotal mission, like almost like a reverse of also like Almost Got Him.
Yes.
Which is my favorite Batman the Animated Series episode.
Yeah.
A genius movie, actually. Like you have
I'm
all the
just literally
Robins,
gonna say I threw a rock at him.
It was a
big rock.
It was a big rock.
Please give it to Dick Grayson and make sure it's like a Silver Age story or something like that, please.
Well, and then obviously the end would be Alfred coming over the top with, no, you guys think you know him. This is him.
Well, and with Batman, you can
tell the story about the family, and it's like, no, this is what he actually is.
With Batman, you can have a cinematic universe within your cinematic universe. Because you have the Bat Family universe. You introduce them all with Batman. That's the thing. You got to introduce them with Batman first, and then you spin off into Robin, into Batgirl, into Red Hood, into Nightwing, and then they all come back together and join up with Batman whenever.
And I remember at the beginning of them talking about the DC extended universe that there was supposed to be a Gotham verse inside of the main, like the street level storytelling, which is where we're supposed to get our Gotham City Sirens and our Nightwing movie and the Batgirl movie, and it's like, guys, like I don't understand how creative people find a way to blow us, because it's your templates are there. What Batman and Superman are they're almost 100 years old now. Have been a part of major, especially in America. They've been Americana since the day people put them to print, and they've been on television and film immediately. This isn't that hard. This is not that hard. Just tell a universally accepted story, a moral based quandary that more or less has a happy ending. And just because it's Batman, it doesn't mean everybody has to leave the theater feeling defeated.
Right.
Well, this may be a controversial take, but I think one of the great missed opportunities of Batman casting would have been that guy from Heroes, Milo Vitaminamite. Yeah, as Nightwing.
Oh, he would have been great.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I like the guy that played him in Titans. I don't know if you guys watched Titans. The first season was just weird. The second season,
the casting for Titans outside of like Starfire was actually really spot on. It was just really, the writing was really bad.
Really bizarre take.
There were a few moments in season 2 that I liked where Dick is like to Jason, "How did you find me?" And he's like, "Oh, you tracer." And Dick's like, "My what?" And he finds out that Batman put a tracer in him, and he's like, "You son of a!" Like, I loved that. That was the most Batman thing ever.
I do love Sir Jor though as Bruce Wayne.
Jordan Mormont as Bruce Wayne was a revelation to me. I enjoyed that, and I liked that dream sequence where they fight, and Bruce just like whoops him. That was good. But yeah, as a whole, I mean, Titans, and then it devolved into evil Superman at the end of the second season when
it always does. That's what every modern DC thing does.
It's the one story that I cannot stand at this point is evil Superman. It's constant. It's why I never watched The Boys. I don't like the idea of evil Superman. And by the way, the Snyderverse Superman is evil Superman.
One of my favorite things that gets touted by edgy DC fans nowadays is like, Superman's boring. He needs to be evil. Like, evil Superman's so cool. Injustice Superman, that's the best Superman. And it's like, did you even play Injustice? Because Injustice literally ends both games with the other, like, Earth 1 good Superman coming to Injustice Earth and saying, "You're an idiot," and kicking his ass. Like, that's the entire plot. Like, human goodness is good.
Yeah, that's why I liked that one, because we had real Superman show up and whoop some booty at the end of that one.
I love my Superman so pure. Listen, I go back to again, just I'm an old head, but John Byrne, Man of Steel, right? The Kryptonian criminals show up there from a pocket dimension so that he can still be the last Kryptonian. He kills them with the pocket dimension kryptonite. He is so psychologically damaged from having to take a life that he develops an alternate personality to still go out and fight crime, but to kind of help him get over the PTSD of doing something that was in fact for the greater good, where he had no actual choice because they outnumbered him, they were more powerful than him, and they were just strategically dominating him. And by the time he stopped one, the other two would have probably killed the entire population of the planet. It was one of those few times where Superman is effectively put into a no-win scenario. And the after, it's, again, as much as I wish with their desire to keep putting out 900 versions of the Justice League film, can we get the alternate ending of Man of Steel where they did not kill Zod, because we know they filmed it? Just give everybody what they want.
You'll never see it because Captain Edgelord has got to
Blu-ray.
We got as far as enough to say what's his name admitted that he made the wrong choice when he insisted on killing Zod. He refused to for years.
Yeah, Spencer, when you say edgy DC fans, you can call them Snyder Bros. It's okay. Because that's what
there are Snyder Bros, but then there are Snyder Bros, but then there are those fans who are like, "Oh, Superman is so lame. Like, we gotta make him modern. Having him save cats and trees is so dumb." It's a lot of overlap with Snyder Bros, but I also see it from like pure comic readers, and I'm just like, go read Berserk, go read something that's not who Superman is. Like, you fundamentally misunderstand this character.
It's we don't understand what the Dark Knight Returns story actually
oh my
is.
Gosh, it's the we don't understand Batman crowd. It's the same. It's the same line of thinking as Batman just beats up, what is it, like mentally ill people and poor people. Like, why doesn't he help people? Like, that's they're sort of on different sides of the ideological spectrum, but they're the same sort of dumb ignorance where you're not engaging with what we're talking about. You're engaging with you basically engaged with it the same way like a political cartoonist does it, where he knows what the outfit looks like and maybe draws like an S on this guy's chest and calls it a day. Like, you're not showing any real engagement.
Thank you. That is the best metaphor you could make on that.
You know, everybody talks a lot about how the Joker is overdone now and how we're tired of seeing Joker stories. I'm tired of seeing Joker and Batman stories. But when you introduce an entire Bat family, there's a whole different dynamic between the Joker and Dick, the Joker and James, the Joker
Barbara.
and Superman.
The Joker and Terry.
Superman.
You have that very short-lived Joker series where I think it only made it to 11 of its 12 issues, or you can only get
the Man Without a Face or whatever they were trying to do with that one.
Yeah, Joker's like bouncing around the DC universe, and it was during that weird time where the comic book code wouldn't let him do certain things. You know, the poor DC suffered the most from it. Like he can't kill anybody, but he's you know. Like watching Joker interact with all these different characters is interesting, right? Like I love when Joker goes to Metropolis and Superman is just not playing his games. And he's like, I'm not going to indulge this. I'm not that guy. Leave. And Joker's like, fine. I don't want to be here anyway. Then there's I didn't want to play with you anyway.
Ooh, that was good.
You know,
Mark Hamill Joker is one of my go-to impressions.
You know, then eventually Joker makes a deal with Wonder Woman, and she makes it very clear, I'm not the other two, I'll kill you. And he goes, okay, I'm going to leave you alone. Give me more of those stories. Yes, you know, we over rely on the Joker now. And you know, especially since the really, I would say it's probably gotten out of hand since the Dark Knight. When we had the identity crisis of, well, is he using a crowbar? Is he using a knife? And I'm like, I don't like either of those for the Joker. You're taking these moments in time and you're applying it to the main character, and it's like he's like, my Joker is Laughing Fish Joker. My Joker is stiff my posy. I've got a giant mallet that's my head. The
buzzer.
Yeah, like there's just the
clown. The clown.
Yeah,
Caesar Romero.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, Caesar Romero. That's a good. If Caesar Romero was allowed to like murder people on that show, I think one of the most.
I think the natural extension of that, and this is who I consider the best Joker depiction, is the animated series one, the Mark Hamill one. Like,
agreed.
He is. Yeah. He's terrifying. He's murderous, but he'll put a gag on, right? He'll hit you with the chattering teeth. He's got the spinning bow tie. That is like the perfect marriage of where you should have a Joker, not the hyper edgy and not the hyper he's never been too neutered, I would say, but he definitely gets to, dark edgy. Like when he had his face removed and he was slapped on everybody else. Like, come on, what were we doing here?
My favorite Mark Hamill Joker moment, I have a couple, but I mean, I really like in Mad Love when he wanted to use piranhas, but he couldn't get them to smile. And so that Harley does it works. And she's like, but Puddin', if you hang him upside down, then the little frowns and smiles. He goes, you had to explain that to me.
Yeah.
It's
not funny.
I mean, look, I think Mark Hamill's best performance as the Joker ever was Return of the Joker.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Movie. That was the one thing that I said to Will Friedle when I met him for 3 seconds was that Return of the Joker was like my favorite Batman movie. Because I just, that scene, I think I brought this up last week, but I'm going to bring it up again because it bears repeating. That scene when Terry gets in his head and he's, don't you dare laugh at me. Like, when he's like, I thought the Joker always wanted to make Batman laugh. You're not Batman. I love that. Like, that hits so hard. And
I will say Batman Beyond Return of the Joker is perhaps the greatest superhero film ever made. It is, story is completely, all the characters are fleshed out, music, animation, top of the line, voice acting, but the amount of originality, they built that world from something that was previously existing. They weren't just banking off of, like a lot of times we want them to, adapt the best Spider-Man comics or the best Batman comics or Superman, whatever have you. They built that world, and I don't think I've ever seen a movie like it since then. And that film screwed me up as a kid.
The only one
Tim was the Joker. Like, who would have guessed that?
Right.
Yeah.
Hell of a twist. See, it's funny,
It worked.
Nolan, because I agree with you so strong. And when you said it's the best one, the only other film that popped up in my head as a competitor, Mask of the Phantasm.
Good answer.
That is an incredible. It does the same thing, right, Nolan? Like, it builds on stuff. It doesn't just give us a rehash of a comic book story, and it's got ethos, and it's incredible. So yeah,
it is a rehash of a comic book story.
Yes, it is a rehash, yes, but it's but it's not like a direct one-to-one.
It's Batman Year 2, which was actually my introduction to Batman comics. That's the very first graphic novel I ever got.
Yep.
It's still the one that I think about because on the cover of the graphic novel, you had Batman strapped with a pistol. And
what?
Yeah.
I need to read this ASAP.
Year 2 are phenomenal. Oh, such amazing! Those covers were amazing.
It's very much a product of the 80s. If you read it now, it's dated, but it blew my mind when I first read it. That was my real introduction to Batman comics.
Now, Return of the Joker, Mask of the Phantasm. What are the one thing those two have in common? That thing is Paul Dini, the man who writes the best Batman stories. I'm sorry. How he has never been hired to write a Batman movie, I will never know. He's just kind of like shoehorned into animation and TV. But the guy
sometimes give him some comic books, and then it's like, come on, give him more.
But heavily involved in the Arkham games, though.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah,
right.
Also the games. Yeah.
If he did that with the Arkham games, when at a time where people took superhero video games, they thought of Superman 64. If he did that and made one of the most iconic, one of the most original, one of the most faithful adaptions of Batman ever, that transcended even those who don't even play video games, were interested in the Arkham City. Imagine what he could do with live action, the way these characters would be designed. It would be the most crazy, most accurate, most love letter to the fans movie ever made. With live action.
I've got a question for you guys, because I know we got some gamers on here.
Okay.
I love the Arkham games. I've let my son play all of them except Arkham Knight, because I just don't want him to see a teenager tortured. Because he's only 13 himself.
It's not very.
So was Jason. Come on, bro.
Well, I played it myself. In fact,
Jason turned out okay, right?
I've got 100%. I've got 100% completion on all the Arkham games. So I know, but. Is anybody else using the free flow combat system? He really enjoys that. He wants a new game that has it. Anybody else?
The closest you're gonna get are the Spider-Man games, the ones on PS4, PS5. That's like the closest. It's on PC too. The Spider-Man, the first one at least.
I know the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor is the same system.
Oh yeah, they do that too, and those games are actually really fun.
They are, but they ruin the lore.
Cool.
They absolutely do. What are you talking? You're telling me that when Tolkien was sitting there, when Tolkien was sitting there in the 40s, he wasn't like, "Yo, I'm gonna write this really hot rocket, this evil spider monster, but she's also gonna have rockin' tits." Like, come on, like that. I know he was writing that in the trenches.
Well, and that's exactly why I'm not gonna let my 13-year-old play Shadow of Mordor.
Give him a few years.
That one was Shadow of War.
One day.
Yeah,
that was Shadow of War. Okay.
Yeah,
we're talking about games. Have any of you guys played the Telltale Batman games?
Yes.
Did you play?
I heard things about them.
So I enjoyed it. I saw it for what it was. I mean, like I thought it was an interesting take to have like Harley kind of like.
I was gonna bring that up. Like I thought it's different, and honestly, like 9 times out of 10, that dynamic wouldn't work. Where Harley is the one who wears the pants and the Joker is sort of, browbeaten, but it kind of worked in that game, just in the way they all set it up.
If the choices that you make turn John into the Joker at the end,
that's true. Yeah,
make him a villain. He becomes like she falls for him head over heels,
like loses. It does play back into normal.
Look, my Bruce Wayne in the Telltale games, he was not taking nothing from nobody. He was not entertaining this guy. He was the justice. That's how I played that game.
Where's the trigger?
Yeah, I I am making. We used to always joke that like Terry McGinnis, like his phone rings at 3 a.m. He's like, "Oh, hello, Justice."
I loved.
I got a math test in the morning. Justice.
I loved Telltale's version of Harvey Dent. I loved Telltale's version of Bane, and I thought they had a really interesting take on the Penguin. I thought that those were really interesting.
I did like Penguin a lot.
Yeah, Penguin was cool in that. Penguin was definitely cool in that. Actually, I have. Speaking of Batman, I do have an article that I wanted to talk about involving Batman. Actually, two of them.
Let's bring them up.
First one from a little site called Bounding into Comics.
Hey, I know that place. I've blocked them once or twice.
Not one of your articles, Spencer, but
I know we have a DC guy.
You do. Bruce Timm reveals the Batman in Caped Crusader is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable and weaponizes Alfred. He's the guy that's going to enable him to fight crime. I don't know how I feel about that. So he says,
seeing as how this is, from Bounding in the Comics, I sacrificed going underneath the Chiron so Spencer isn't just a forehead, since this would be from his spear.
It's okay. We can go.
So we know how many changes to the mythos are in store with Batman Cape Crusader, which will be set in the 1940s, and yet is still going to have greater diversity in its cast of characters. However, the series may go further than anyone initially thought. Executive producer Bruce Timm recently explained in an interview with Empire he primed readers and viewers for the twist they can expect. For one thing, his relationship with Alfred won't be familial, fraternal, or balanced, as we've seen before. He weaponizes Alfred, Timm says, of Bruce Wayne. He's not Batman's surrogate father anymore. He's a guy that's going to enable him to fight crime. That's how focused Bruce is. It's a weird take on him, but it's something I don't think we've seen before. Yeah, I would say there's a reason you haven't seen that before. He went on at length to describe how weird Bruce is this time. I wanted to make him kind of weird and spooky. If you're stuck in a room with Batman, whether you're Commissioner Gordon or Barbara Gordon or Renee Montoya, you don't feel comfortable with that. That I agree with. You kind of like, what is this guy? What's this all about? And what it might be is an experience as Cape Crusader encounters the Dark Knight very early in his career, earlier than year one. So, what do we think about that panel?
I think there's a lot of potential in that. I don't think the creators behind this series have steered us wrong before. What's that?
No, I don't like it. I personally do not like it. I don't like taking Alfred away as a familial connection. I think Alfred needs to be the lifeline. I think you lose something when Alfred is, enabling him or whatever it was. I don't know. Lauren, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm kind of in line with you. I love Alfred as the father figure, but depending on what era of Batman you're talking about, I mean, if you're talking Golden Age Batman, then Alfred sometimes was kind of a doof. They kind of made fun of him a little bit. And so since this is set in the 40s, maybe that's the angle they're going with. I like Bruce Timm. I'm curious to see where this goes. I'm not sure what I think about it until I see it. I will say my favorite Batman is year 2 Batman, when he's still young and angry, and when it's still Lieutenant Gordon before he makes captain.
Right.
And so I like it when he's still a little unpolished. So that part I don't mind. The idea that they're meeting each other like the first couple of weeks, that's a little weird.
Spencer, what do you think about this?
Honestly, I'm kind of, in between. I agree that, these guys haven't really steered us wrong before, but I've never really liked the Alfred being an active part of the war, right? Like, I like Alfred as the support, like the reluctant, like, okay, I can't stop you, but I'm going to, I'll clean you up. I'll help you, but I don't have to like it. Like, I've always liked that Alfred. I haven't even really liked the recent focus from the TV show and the comics on Alfred's like pre-war time, like when he was like a really badass spy. Like, cool, I get it, and it makes sense, but it's just sort of like he's not that. That's not the. I don't know. It just always felt weird to have Alfred so actiony. So if he is reluctantly helping him and supporting the fight, I get it. But if he's like his man in the chair, if he in what is it? The Snyderverse, or not the Snyder? Yeah, is it Snyder?
Yes,
Jeremy Irons, right? Yeah,
Jeremy Irons. Yeah,
I don't like that kind of Alfred per se. I like the one we see in the animated series, the one we see he doesn't have to be the man in the chair. He's there to help, but he doesn't have to like it, is where I think I like my Alfred. So it really depends on which side they lean here, because that I kind of hate when we get these pre-release articles or interviews, because what does that even mean? What does that even mean, Tim? Can you please explain to me what that means? It's like, I can't tell you. You got to watch the show. And it's like, man, get out of here. What are we doing here?
I would try. Bruce Timm has, without Paul Dini, let us down some big storytelling.
Yeah, that just came up in the chat as well. Bruce Timm has steered us on stories tons of times.
Yeah,
he
has punished us with many a bad take.
I was talking about it.
What are the most key examples would you say outside of Batman and Barbara and Killing Joke?
Oh, well, what's the point then? I could have a whole
that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Wasn't Bruce Timm in charge of Batman and Harley Quinn?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
and I wasn't crazy about
that. Was him. That wasn't Dini. It's like I said, I think again, like Martin pointed out, or Lauren pointed out before. Yeah, depending on what era of Batman we're in, when Alfred gets introduced, he's kind of a fat bumbling oaf. And it isn't until after they kill the character and realize that he was popular and they went to great lengths to bring him back that you start to see him become a little more integral to the to the story. But when you get to a certain point where you have a formula that works, you're taking a pretty big risk deviating from it. Because yes, comic book fans, for all of our love and passion and tolerance, we do not like to be uncomfortable. We like putting on.
We don't like change.
Yeah, that's it. We like putting on our favorite pair of slippers. If you're telling me that change is coming, and if I don't have someone that I know can probably deliver it, like if you tell me Jeff Johns says we're gonna do XYZ to this character, I'm like, you know what? Fine, I'll trust it.
Right. Like I don't know about this, but I trust you, like Johns. Let's go for it.
Yeah. If you tell me it's Tom King, I'm jumping out of a window and never coming back.
That's the difference. Is they've earned, I think, the right to do something different.
All right, go ahead, Martin.
Okay. I like an Alfred who is Batman's Batman. The British officer's butler is Batman's Batman, right? So one of my favorite Alfreds is Michael Caine. I thought he was great.
He's great.
Yeah, he's absolutely great. And in a way, that's the same dynamic as Frodo and Sam.
That's a good point.
I like that a lot. The whole like I can't go on, like I can't carry it, but I can carry you, like that. Yeah, man. That I've never even thought that. That's a perfect comparison.
That's a fantastic point, Martin.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what Tolkien built that Sam Frodo relationship on. The World War I experience of officers and their personal valets.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now we've also seen also from an article on Bounding into Comics that the Arkham Asylum series, originally set in the Batman continuity, has been canceled. The night, the act. So maybe we should make that the night has fallen on another project studios being developed for Max, one that had a short history of ups and downs in the process. Deadline reports via Variety and Yahoo that the Arkham Asylum series, once connected to the Batman, is no more at the streaming service. At the last call, Antonio Campos, creator of the Staircase for the platform, was tapped as showrunner, executive producer, and director. He inherited the project after it was extracted from the Batman's continuum and rebranded for the DCU. The Arkham idea sprung from the film's director, Matt Reeves, who was aiding in the development of the series and looked to expand his Batverse further on streaming, but around the rogues and the police. Initially, Reeves was set on making the Penguin, followed by a series centered around the Gotham Police Department and its corruption problem. A bit later, the nugget of the Arkham concept sprouted, but it soon evolved by assimilating the GPD idea. So 2 shows turned into one, and then there were none. Now, anyway. That's a great line, man. You got a good writer over there. I like it.
JB is the best. He's one of our I love him to death. He's so reliable. He's our DC guy.
Yeah,
he's got the chops.
Yeah, so he did a great job on this one. Let him know Marvin the Movie Monster likes him.
Marvin endorsed, putting it everywhere. Big old pop up when you come on Bounding.
Exactly. Big picture of my face.
Yep.
Now, Lauren, that was kind of what you were talking about, though, the GCPD kind of scented show. It looks like that was going to happen, and now it is not happening.
Kind of breaks my heart because I actually didn't get through all of the Gotham series, and there were some Gotham episodes I liked, some Gotham episodes I didn't like. What I did like consistently, though, was Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock. I love those guys, and I thought they did a great job of playing them in that show, and I would love to see something that's actually a police procedural in that universe.
You know, and I liked the idea of I liked the idea of Gotham. I watched the first couple episodes. I watched the whole first season, actually. Jada Pinkett Smith was in it, and I can't stand the sight of her. So I remember I said to Kevin, I was like, I will watch this because I know that she must have to die at some point in the first season for the Penguin to like become the Penguin. And so then I watched, and he kills her at the end of the first season. I'm like, okay, great. Season 2 starts. She's alive. I turned the TV off. I said, I'm not doing this for another year.
Well, listening to Marv and my wife have to tolerate fish was a time. That was a time of watching two people go through mental crisis. It was gave me some slight insight into what it must be actually like to live Will Smith's wife, because if she was destroying them psychologically through the television. Could you imagine being trapped in a room with her?
She's so bad, and I was like, can we just keep the Smith family away? And that was around the time where everybody was like, Jaden Smith for Static Shock. And I'm like, can we just keep the Smith family away from the DC universe, please?
Can we just keep the Smith family sort of away? Can we just like end the statement there?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I didn't even like Will as Deadshot. I mean, he was fine. Look, my favorite.
That entire movie is the most generic movie of all time. Like, I hold Suicide Squad
I'll do you one better.
I'll
do Justice League.
See, I only do because I look at that initial cut of Suicide Squad that we got in the theaters, and to me, it is not a movie so much as it is a 2-hour piece of marketing. Like it everything is like, done by committee. Everything is chopped up. Nothing makes sense. All of the production is really bad. All of the song choices are the most generic thing you could think of. Like, you open the movie on this giant shot of Blackgate Prison in the middle of a swamp, and it says, in the bottom corner, Blackgate Prison, whatever. But it's in black font, and it's over a black swampy like background. It's the most. It doesn't even make sense as a movie. That's what happened here.
Your rant right now is basically me with the Justice League movie, because in my opinion, that's the most disappointing movie ever made, because everything was just so by the books.
There's a difference between disappointing and just like bad. Like, Justice League is a giant steaming pile of crap. That was really bad. Every edit they did to it. But Suicide Squad, I wouldn't even call that like a movie. It's literally just a giant commercial for merchandise.
I would respectfully
for Warner Brothers.
I would respectfully have to disagree with you, Spencer, because I'll at least say this. I think they're both commercials, but I think Suicide Squad was a better commercial because the toys were cooler. Justice League very playing it safe on everything.
I said I'm gonna make an embarrassing confession here.
Okay.
I really like Suicide Squad.
Banned.
I would have jumped there.
I liked it too. I'm gonna be the second one to say it.
I love David Ayer as a director. I am devastated that we are never going to see what he actually intended for this movie.
Yeah,
I was one of those.
I don't think it's going to be any better. I genuinely don't think that it's the magic bullet. Like, we got the Snyder cut. That didn't make anything really that much better. It was
it was
bad. It was worse or bad in a different way. Like, it was like, so to me, David Ayer keeps going, no, guys, I have a really good movie. It's out there. And I like David Ayer, and Of Watch is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I'm like, dude, I think you just didn't hit it with this one, and it's okay. Some people have misses.
Let me tell you why.
Tried a little too hard with the Joker. You turned him into a juggalo instead of letting me the Joker.
Right. I agree with you. I don't like the Joker in it, but let me tell you why I do like it.
I want to hear this. Yeah.
This is going to be strange.
Yeah, genuinely.
But it's all because of the sorceress. You guys talk about wanting a comic book movie. It does not get any more comic book than this.
Oh.
I could not believe that they actually had a magical villain in this thing, and that they did it in a comic booky way. And it's like, wow, that's actually a real comic book movie.
Right, and like that's really cool. But then they go, oh, we need to kill her heart. Oh, we have her heart. Oh, we stabbed her heart. Oh, we need to take her down. She's like because of all the editing and all the chopping, like her. It's comic booky, but then it doesn't make any sense. You just go.
It's like comic panels.
There's another part too.
Art's inconsistent.
There's another part too, and that's you're never going to get a better Agent Waller than Viola Davis.
Oh, she was
great.
I actually agree with that. No, nothing wrong with that. I also like Margot as Harley. I like Margot as Harley. I liked what's his name as Boomerang. The casting outside of Will Smith wasn't really the problem. It was literally everything else.
I just would have put Viola Davis in a fat suit. Because I like the kingpin sized Amanda Waller from the
comic. I do too. Like the Waller.
Yes.
Truthfully, I will. I'm with Lauren though. I haven't shown it much because a lot of people don't like it, but I saw Suicide Squad when it came out in the theater right there, and I was really satisfied with what I saw. I think it's fun. I think it's memorable, which is something I just can't say about a lot of superhero films now. It's just like I just feel like they're just very by the books and forgettable. Whereas this one, I'm like, everyone I feel like remembers that movie. Like,
listen, I unpopular
not for good reasons.
I love the I love Suicide Squad. I hate the Suicide Squad. I hate.
I like the better than the original one.
I watched that movie and I'm like, I detest everything that happened in this movie. This is not.
Please lay it on us because I always hear the opposite, and I never saw the second one. Please tell me why.
Squad movie. The point of the Suicide Squad is that they survive the mission that they're not supposed to survive. I thought it was a waste of Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. It just we had the only thing I liked was that they used Bloodshot 2 and they used the comic book source material to explain it. Other than that, I thought it was a belligerent waste of my time. You kill Rick Flag and their heads don't explode. I'm like, I'm like, other than,
but in the first Suicide Squad, you only get the one head explosion. You literally only get it at the beginning where they're showing off like this is what we do, and you have that head explosion. You have that same equivalent in the Suicide Squad in the beginning. You have here's somebody we're showing. We're going to introduce him. We're going to blow his brain bomb, and that's the end of it. Like even that squad survives the entire thing too.
But you wiped out and you're killing Captain. Like they just rip through a whole bunch of characters. It's a lot of death for the sake of I can kill people, and I'm like, that's not the story. That's not how we tell this story. Because it's like while they are in prison. Yes, they are villains who are doing good guy missions because you can't have the good guys doing these things that get their hands dirty or would actually kill a good guy. / there's always an alternative reason for why Amanda sent them there. And it's going to be and the dynamic is who's the one that she let in on the side B part of the mission. Was it Captain Boomerang or was it Deadshot? Who and how is she going to play the two of them against each other? When you go back to that original Suicide Squad book, we get the breakdown of what the concept is. You get that first head exploding, so you know she's not messing around. And then they dive headfirst into the fire because it's brimstone. And again, they're not supposed to survive, but they manage to do it. And the core squad makes it.
That's exactly how the Suicide Squad plays out.
Right, but I don't like the heartfelt moments in either movie. I want them just to be bad guy mercenaries. I did like that we got Starro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Starro was really good.
That was that. I dug that they made Starro the villain. It was just, I don't know. I like John Cena. I thought he was fine.
See, here's the thing. I like John Cena a lot, and I'm not gonna lie. There are moments in that movie that I really enjoy from this performance of.
Was he in that
Peacemaker.
movie? I didn't see him.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing jorts. That's why. That's his anti-camouflage. When he has jorts on, you know where he is. But the bigger problem for me with that Peacemaker is with that version of Peacemaker, we got Peacemaker who turned into a psychopath, crazy, like, you know, that version in the Suicide Squad. I would eat a million dicks if that meant freedom. That James Gunn version, which is like, you can get funny out of that. But the Peacemaker character himself was never that. He wanted, you know, we were talking about like sidekicks and everything earlier. I don't know if any of you guys read the original, or not the original, but Jaime's first run as Blue Beetle back after back after Infinite Crisis. Peacemaker was a supporting character in that book as someone who wanted Earth to be better and knew you had to be tough about it. So he goes to find Jaime and train him and be like, look, you have power now, you can make peace. But now we have this James Gunnified Peacemaker who in the, it's a trend we see all the time because of movie synergy. That's who we have in the comic books now. Like I've been trying to catch up on everything for Absolute Power, just, to keep appraised of it. And they brought in Peacemaker into the Suicide Squad comics and stuff, but he is just that James Gunn one-dimensional, like, oaf. He's that oaf character. He's the Drax character, and it's just sort of lazy and boring. So, like, I'm always torn because if it was one performance from Cena in that movie where they characterized him as like that, I probably would have been okay with it. But then when you go and you change all of his other characterizations to be that wacko, then I'm going, that's not what I wanted. That's not fun anymore.
I agree. That was my problem with the the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. The second they announced that the movie was coming out, we changed all these characters radically.
I hate movie synergy. Movie synergy is probably one of my top 3 most hated things in the world. It never worked. All movie synergy does is serve to piss off the people who are already reading the comic books. Like, you want to pull in more. Oh, we want to get people who saw the movie to read the comic book. So let's make the comic characters like the movie. Great. They buy the comic based on the cover, and then they go, I have no idea what this is. This isn't the character I was expecting. Okay, I'll just go back to the movies. And now they're not reading. And then the other, us, your core base, we're not reading either. So you've just shot yourself in the foot. And then somebody has to come in and fix all of the problems. And it's just a mess.
Yeah.
And I was sorry.
Guy, finish the thought, and then I have 2 super chats I have to read.
I was like, when you look at fandom, the formula is pretty simple, right? The fandom exists because someone else in the fandom passed it down to someone else. So when you take my biggest issue with the end of the comic book code era for both Marvel and DC, where we've gotten a little ridiculous storytelling. As a parent, I have a really hard time being able to pass these books down to my kids because there's a lack of restraint in the storytelling that I'm like, do I really need you to see Spider-Man essentially be for 5 years of his life? Do you really need to see Red Hood making people's heads explode every other panel, as opposed to hey, it was just actiony, and those are just 2 very lazy examples that I haven't really do.
But it's true. No, it's 1,000% true.
So it's like now I can't pass it down in an era where, hey, listen, the numbers don't lie. No one's buying books. At some point in time, you got to stop, reevaluate, and go, what are we doing wrong? And I personally go, the moment we stopped self-enforcing the comic book code is where I go, things started to fall apart.
That's a whole show we could do of dads trying to figure out what we can let our sons read.
That is a good idea. I used to read everything, and now there's only one comic book that I currently read. I read the Boom Studios Power Rangers book. That's it.
Oh, that's coming to an end, my friend. That is over.
Really?
It's over.
It is over. Oh wait, you don't know this? Oh,
I didn't know this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the
Right.
Boom Studios line is coming to a complete end. I think in August with one last one shot from Dan Mora, because it's part of Hasbro's complete fumbling of the IP. Just long story short, for anybody here who doesn't know the story, I talk about it all the time on my shows because I'm a big Toku nerd. But Hasbro, they bought the Power Rangers license a couple years back. Apparently, it was done by the president at the time without any like consultation to anybody else in the company. So he bought it and everybody went, what do we do with this? What do we do with this brand? So over the last few years, they've been mismanaging it to hell, to the point where they had a reboot deal with Netflix that fell through because they couldn't get their act together. The show is currently on it's over. There are no Power Rangers shows being made. They've licensed out the production of the toys, the actual like thing you would have bought the license for. Hasbro's given that duty to Playmates now, which is
They're a toy making. They're a toy company.
Exactly. Like they don't know what they're
terrible toys.
Right. They're awful toys. They're genuinely bad toys. Like they're very cheap. So everything is just going to hell for that brand. And the cherry on top is the one good thing we were getting from that IP these days. The comics, over. No plans to revive it. Just done. So
why does Power Rangers keep ending up with people who don't even know what to do with it anymore?
Here's the problem. It's not even people who don't know what to do with it. It's people who actively hate it, because while Hasbro, like the leadership was like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, what do we do with this brand? This wasn't in our sort of plans, right? The guy they handed the show over to, Simon Bennett, he's on record. I've written like several stories for Bounding. He's on record going, yeah, tokusatsu is dumb. Power Rangers needs to be more mature. Americans don't want to see this. We need to change it if we're ever going to grow the market. You know, the very same things we've heard out of Disney, out of Warner all these years. So it's like, it's just another case of the same thing we keep seeing and seeing and seeing. They don't like this stuff. They want to change it. And it always ends up bad.
The only one that's ever actually liked the brand is Haim Saban. And because it was his vision, and look, Haim Saban had a vision. He was like, I want to make show for children and not spend any money to make it. So, you know, the show is the biggest thing in the entire world. These people are like the biggest celebrities in the world in the 90s, and they're making what, $1,000 a week? like they made, and then when a few of them, whenever they would get uppity and be like, hey old man, we want more money, I can replace
goodbye. Yeah.
The Haim Saban, like you know what show, like have you ever seen, there was a Saban show, because Saban had this formula, right? It was you know, have like 3 sets, a bunch of no-name non-union actors, and you know, and film in New Zealand so that we didn't have to pay any taxes, and then use
the Japanese footage, so that's all taken care of. We don't have to do
everything else,
action or whatever.
Voiceover and use dubbed over footage from Japan, and we had Power Rangers for a million years. We had Masked Rider, we had VR Troopers, even Super Samurai Sniper Squad to an extent. There was a show that got made, and Beetleborgs too. It boggles my mind how this show got made. Mystic Knights of Tirnano.
Oh, wow. I can't believe they. Wow. Oh my, dude! There's a one shot coming out from Boom that's just like, oh, we're showing off different. Like it's a dumb one shot. It's not even canon. It's just like a what do you call it? Like an artist exhibition where there's like a bunch of an anthology. That's what it is. And one of the stories has the Rangers as like ancient knights. And I'm like, why that? Just bring back the Knights of like they're right there. That would be the crossover of the century.
Well, no. So that show, the reason I say I don't know how it got made was it's all original footage. It's shot on location in Ireland. Like, I don't understand how this got made. Did he get the bill one day? It was like, what the hell is this? Like, he had no idea they were making
or was it one of those things where it's like, oh, at the end of the, you know, if you don't spend this much money at the end of the year, they're going to cut your budget. And I got to donate to the DNC or make more show now, make expensive show.
Oh my god, the Toys That Made Us episode on the Power Rangers is amazing.
It's good.
You finally get to like see and hear Haim Saban for like the first time. and he's exactly everything you always expected him to be. And I love it. It's so
And
good.
even if you had no
Which episode
expectations,
is
you
this?
watch it and you're like, yeah, that's him. That makes sense.
Look, if I bumped into that guy on the street and met him, I'd be like, "Are you Haim Saban by chance?" Like having known nothing about it, because he's exactly
Marvin's just running around to random food cart operators in New York, like, "Hey, are you Haim Saban? Are you Haim Saban?"
No,
my friend, go away, my friend.
He took an idea that shouldn't have worked and made it one of the most valuable IPs of all time in the 90s. And it's been going and going and going. And look, I'm one of the biggest Power Ranger fans you'll ever find. I love it. I still have not watched Cosmic Fury, however. I've heard
not worth it. Don't waste
really,
it.
I had heard good things.
It's
or worse than Operation Overdrive.
Ooh, I'd probably say worse, because so hold on, let me put my camera back on. I'll take you. I was going to the bathroom, and so I had it off, and now my green screen fell. But basically, Cosmic Fury, one of the big bad points against it is that yes, it's a new season and it's got like its own costumes, blah blah blah. But midway through, they start leaning really hard on the Mighty Morphin team. Like, they bring back Billy, they bring back Zach, and they're permanent members of the team. And It's like, do you remember Mighty Morphin? And it's like, this is so boring. Like, there's nothing here. And so it's fine, but I'd go watch like Jungle Fury. I'd watch like any other season.
Gotcha. No, I get you. I'm the guy that really liked Once and Always.
Me too. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. So some super chats to get to, by the way. John JD999 says, just hitting me now. They didn't tell Yoda or anyone. So you talk about the Acolyte here. Yeah, it was a major cover up. The Jedi covered up or Jedi Master Leslie Headland's wife covered up everything.
She told him something at the end.
Yeah, probably all is well. Everything is good here. I was telling Kevin earlier, I was shocked that they stopped there, because I thought this was going to be a character assassination of Yoda. I thought he was going to be complicit in covering this up. That would not have shocked me in any way, shape, or form. And Andre Adams for $4.99, thank you so much, says this show was worse than Homeboys in Outer Space. I have a hard time disagreeing with you there, Andre. Folks, if you want your here as we're wrapping up the show, if you want to have your Plenty in Pixel Art. We are every Thursday at 8 p.m. now. So, hey, how's it going? If you want your thoughts read aloud on the air, please send a super chat. We will get to it before the end of the show. I promise. We get to all super chats always, even if it takes us a little bit. One big thing we have to talk about, probably one of the biggest stories to come out of entertainment in the last week, is the big return. The Russo brothers are in talks to direct the next 2 Avengers movies. I never thought I'd see the day. Marvel is clearly desperate, but this is Hollywood Reporter, so they're not going to talk about why the Russos are being brought back, but you'll see. Joe and Anthony Russo are assembling a team once again. The Russo brothers are in early talks to return to Marvel Studios to direct not 1, but 2 Avengers movies, sources tell the Hollywood Reporter. The hiring ends a month-long high-stakes search for the studio for filmmakers to oversee the 56 Avengers movies. Multiple names were in contention, including Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy, that was who I had heard was going to do it, who was offered the gig. Sources say the talks are in early stages. The move also marks a homecoming for the Russos, who jumped from the world of TV comedy on shows like Arrested Development, Community, to blockbuster movies a decade ago with Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It totally directed 4 of Marvel's biggest and best regarded movies, going on to helm Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, Avengers: Endgame, and combined their Marvel films have grossed $6.681 billion, with Endgame standing as the number 2 movie of all time globally with $2.79 billion. Really should be the number 1 movie of all time, but James Cameron decided to play dirty and re-release Avatar again. In the years since, they've become mega producers. I mean, they have not been doing anything in the years since. They've been doing Netflix stuff.
And it's been generally pretty bad.
Yeah. So, the Russos are back. This could be exciting. But, panel, let me float this. It was also very exciting when we first heard that Russell T. Davies and David Tennant were coming back to Doctor Who. So, I think we lost one.
See, Lord, Yeah, to me, I think you hit it right there in the opening, Marvin. It's, to me, this feels beyond desperate. This is, oh man, we haven't had a win. We don't know what the hell we're doing. We need anybody. We got to go back to our big guns to get people to come in. So you go get the Russos who've done it before. And yeah, we know there are rumors about RDJ coming back, and those rumors are pretty strong that he's coming back. So to me, my reaction isn't even as strong as ooh, this could be cool. To me, I just go, you guys are you're spiraling at this point. You still have no plan. You guys are, what are the Russos going to do? They're not going to magically, the Russos are good directors, sure, but they have to work with the hands they're dealt with. And the hands they've been dealt are Wakanda Forever, Shang-Chi, the Marvel. That's not a really good. They basically, instead of getting the big tub of Legos with all the pieces like they got with the first Avengers, they got the tub of Legos from the daycare that's been open for 8 years, and 90% of the pieces are missing. There's some Duplo blocks in there. There's a crayon. You don't know why there's a crayon in there. Somebody didn't know what they were doing. That's what they have to work with at this point.
Who wants to watch an Avengers movie of Captain Marvel, Falcon, Captain America, Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man.
Ironheart. Oh boy,
Ironheart, dude. Yeah, I was for someone who has suffered through many a bad Avengers lineup. This is worse than the Dr. Druid, Photon, Black Knight, Captain America, and the brown vest energy shield. And we don't know what color we want Vision to be this week. Lineup and
the 1992 lineup.
Yeah, this is brutal. This is brutal. As we know why the Russos ran screaming at the end of Infinity War after. Well, how about we kill the big three before the main fight starts, and then Captain Marvel can come save the day?
Was that what was pitched?
That's what Kevin Feige wanted. This is everything.
That is what he wanted. Yeah.
Yes, I had never heard that.
He wanted Thor and Iron Man to be killed by Thanos almost immediately, and then Captain America is fighting the fight on his own, and then he dies, and then Captain Marvel shows up. And they were like, "This is insane. We can't do this."
What is that's why that whole sequence at the end, where they had that awesome moment where they team up, just the three of them against Thanos, and then for some reason Iron Man and Thor are just gone. It goes down to the Cap fight, and that's when he breaks his shield or whatever. That's left over from that. You can see all of the pieces sort of in the movie still.
Can I present a question to the panel? Just a simple question. Is Kevin Feige insane?
Yes.
Yes.
Here. Kevin Feige is a grifter who got very lucky. He walked into a job. John Favreau did all the heavy lifting.
He really did.
Of it. Then they said, "Hey, you're done working for Avi Rad? Come take this thing that he took a cake that was already baking and just put icing.
You made this? Well, I made this.
And
don't underestimate
icing on it, and then took all the credit for it. And
don't underestimate how important Ike Perlmutter is in this.
Oh yeah, that's
being a guy who knew how to control costs, deliver
Budgets.
these movies for a good price.
We're looking at a near $1 billion budget for Falcon 2 or Falcon 1, whatever we're calling this next movie.
This movie has to make $8 billion to break even.
It's disaster.
I'm so glad they didn't put Saban in charge of this movie.
The trailer didn't even
I'd watch
do
that.
much
It might have
for
turned
me.
a profit.
Yeah, the trailer didn't do that much for me. I'm like,
no.
I'm okay. Yeah,
especially now, in light of everything going on in the world, that trailer is bad timing.
Well,
that was unfortunate, but yeah, that. Even nothing in that trailer did it do anything for anybody? Red Hulk, who cares? Oh,
Harrison Ford is Harrison.
Who cares?
Not
Harrison
Ford. Why wouldn't
Harrison Ford? Harrison Ford makes me actively not enjoy things anymore when I see him in it. Not because of him. I love Harrison Ford. He's an awesome actor. He's a great guy, but he is always talking about how he hates acting. He's like, I don't want to do this. I hate these movies. Why am I here? And I'm like, if you don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. And it always makes it really hard for me to get hyped when he's
That's
around.
why I never will watch the cast of
curmudgeon Harrison
Smallville.
Ford.
It's why I never watch the cast of Smallville talk about Smallville, because I like Smallville and they don't.
Actually, you should watch the what's his name? Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum do a podcast where they go through all of the episodes one by one.
It's awesome. I personally love it.
It's
every panel I've ever seen them do, like at a con, they're always like, "Let's talk about why this sucks." Like,
really?
Yeah, they were always so negative.
Because I've never seen him at panels, but I've caught a lot of Rosenbaum's podcast, a lot of his just like net appearances, and he always seems pretty positive on it. That's very surprising to me.
Yeah, Mark, you would really like it. You would really like it. They are they're honest about stuff. Like he's very honest. Like,
Lauren is back.
I think there's one where they where Michael Fana tells you this is why I left the show. This scene right here. But other than that, like they're like, oh, we love this scene. This worked because of this. Blah 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 blah. It's very complimentary. It's cool. It's definitely. I highly recommend it. I
am on a on a quest to meet the entire cast of Smallville at some point in time.
Who do you got left?
Well, I'm not very far into it. I've met John Schneider and I've met Tom Welling. So,
are you including major guest stars like Wopat?
Oh man, that you're gonna have to get like all of Hollywood at that point.
Like if your face
Cyborg's dead, you can't meet him.
If your face has shown up after I've heard somebody say, I want to meet.
The good news is you can probably meet what's her name, Chloe, really easily. I don't think she's got a lot going on right now.
I don't know. I can't. I mean, maybe visiting hours at the penitentiary. But
you can probably book Remy Zero pretty quick, cheap.
Look, at the end of the day, if Kevin Spacey has gotten back out on the con circuit, Allison Mack is going to get back out there eventually.
I hope so. I got to propose at some point. I've been harboring this crush for like 20 years.
And look, nothing is going to hurt me worse than when I have to meet Kristen Kruick and just
I'll do the proposal for that.
Be like clenching my fists. And
you mean the star of The Legend of Chun-Li or Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li? What an actress.
Mrs. Movie Monster's favorite like fictional character is Chun-Li. And
she must have loved that movie.
I was explaining to her my abject hatred of Lana Lang on Smallville. And I'm like, oh, she's played by this lady. And she goes, her! Like, she wants to ruin Chun-Li.
Now the Monster Cave, you can put like a no Kristen Crook sign out.
I know, but like I'm a completionist. I'm gonna have to meet her at some point. But the next one that is like really on my list is I have to meet Lionel. I have got to meet John Glover because the clock is ticking.
That's what I was gonna say. I love Lionel Luthor. Like
he's
I really
my favorite character on the whole show.
He's incredible in that show. He's so good.
Did you ever see a show called Brimstone where he plays the devil?
Yes.
No. What? Oh, he's probably really good. He's probably
hard
really
to
good
find
in that role.
I just realized the other day how many DC characters John Glover has played throughout the years because he's Lionel Luthor. He's the Riddler on Batman the Animated Series. He's the doctor that makes Bane in Batman and Robin. And
I freaking loved him in that role. One of the top best parts of that movie.
And he's the dad, the bad dad in the first Shazam.
I loved him
in the
behind the scenes videos for Batman and Robin, where he's like, yeah, I had to keep kissing Uma Thurman and we had to keep doing that scene over and over again. It was terrible.
It was the worst.
I do love the way he delivers that line. You look good.
Yeah. I love Gentlemen, Time to Scream. Like, I do love that. But, I mean, he has done so... I realized this when I found out, like, I was last week years old when I found out that he was the Riddler on Batman the Animated Series. I never knew that. So,
that always... It's not even related, but the one that I've, like, stumbled upon recently, and I know, but it always keeps blowing my mind, is... do you guys know who voiced Prince Eric in the freaking Little Mermaid movie? It was Christopher Daniel Barnes. Yeah, it's Spider-Man, and he did the exact same voice.
Oh,
and I can't unhear it anymore, and like I like bringing that one up.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Ursula,
I want to be where the spiders are.
Lauren, you missed it. We started talking about the Russos coming back to direct Avengers 5 and 6. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a good move? Do you think that this is too little too late? Do you think the Russos are just coming in to kind of further the Kevin Feige agenda? Like, what do you think is going on here?
Well, before I get to that, I was looking up in the background because I was curious about how old John Glover was. Do you realize that Michael Rosenbaum and John Schneider are only 12 years apart in age?
I did not know that.
That's
What?
like Harrison Ford and Sean Connery.
That's so weird.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Rosenbaum is aging like a chiseled god.
Apparently, Rosenbaum is 52 years old and John Schneider's 64.
Wow. John
also,
Schneider,
here's
by the
another
way,
voice
John
one.
Schneider was wonderful when I met him.
all that filming in the sun for Dukes of Hazzard clearly took its toll on John. That's crazy.
He
As to
was. Go ahead.
As to the Russos, I wasn't actually all that surprised that they came back. I know that they wanted to be involved with Secret Wars if they were ever going to do that. And I think that's probably the only way that show is going to work. But I think it's also dependent on whoever the writing team is. Can they get the writing team that they worked with back? If they can do that,
Bingo,
maybe they can turn this thing around. If they can't, I don't know. I think Marvel's way down in the toilet right now, and I don't know. I guess time will tell. Let's see what they try and put together.
Again, they can't. We made that Blade announcement over 5 years ago, and we are no closer to this. You will see Jesus riding a polar bear fighting a dragon before you see this Blade movie. Apparently,
I'd watch that movie.
I would do. But, I mean,
I'm 100% on board. What Magic the Gathering expansion is that?
Like, why is it so hard for them to just write a Blade movie about Blade?
Because they're overthinking it. They're not, because they are not making movies anymore. To them, they're making products. So you have to think about demographics and messaging and all of this and how does everything work. You're not just going, I want to write a cool story about this. You're going, how do I reach this demo and how do I, get these advertiser bucks and how do I abide by this standard? And so that's why they're like, oh, what the hell do we do? I don't freaking know. You have Mahershala Ali's lawyer coming out and being like, this has never happened to us.
What if Shaft
It's
had a
not
samurai
even that. It's not even that.
there you go.
It's that we're in the era of toxic masculinity. They cannot allow Blade to be cool.
No, I missed the era of toxic masculinity. We got Commando.
I'm just saying
we got the original Blades.
I watch that movie at least once a month, by the way.
They cannot allow Blade to be cool, and if you can't make Blade cool, you can't make Blade.
Especially if it's not going to be Wesley Snipes, because
at this point it might be.
It might as freaking well be.
Actually, that would be a great way to get it made. That would actually draw in the audience.
Well, here's I know that
he's not doing a movie about Blade's daughter either, though.
But that's exactly what I was going to say. So, I know from what we know from leaks and rumors and all that stuff, the original version of this film was not even really a Blade movie. It was a vehicle to introduce his daughter, who would then be the successor and be the MCU's Blade. He literally was showing up for one movie and would go, "Okay, now you're Blade. I'm out of here."
Yeah, and you know what that movie would have been called? Blade,
yeah, exactly. And you can even see that because Marvel recently, 2 years ago, when the movie should have come out, they did a big push for Blade's daughter as the new Slayer of Marvel. So it is all there. It's just and then there was the point where we had reports where Mahershala Ali, he was pissed. He didn't want to be in this movie. He was like, this is not what I signed up for. I want this to be badass. You're making me a wiener. What are we doing here? So I definitely agree. They won't let Blade be cool. And once you go, okay, we have to give Blade some credit, they go, what? Huh? I don't understand. What does that mean? What do you mean Blade? Blade's daughter? Blade's daughter. Blade? Blade's daughter.
That's
exactly
okay,
gotcha.
it. It's exactly it.
Before we wrap
there's nothing in my Mrs. Movie Monster used to go to the Marvel movies with me because they were like dude movies that she just liked. She liked the characters. She liked seeing Chris Hemsworth with his shirt off probably. And now, but then when the Marvels came out and I went to see it, I was like, you want to go see the Marvels? She's like, heck no. The movie that's made specifically for her is a movie she doesn't want to see. And that you're seeing that constantly with these movies now is that they are marketing it to this female audience that does not exist and does not want it. We saw What If got turned into this ridiculous MCU nonsense. It is just non-stop. The Eternals. I mean, and speaking of the Eternals, how about the fact that big rumor coming out about DC is that
If you say it out loud, it's going to make it true. And
I have to discuss it because I have to be a responsible member of the media here, and that is an article by Spencer Bakuli that Marvel's Eternals star Kumail Nanjiani to star as race swap Booster Gold in James Gunn's DC Cinematic Universe.
What?
Good Lord.
I can see him as a dirtbag.
I don't know if you Marv saw my Twitter reaction to this article because I Booster Gold is, first of all, I'm a DC guy. Other than Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and Cap and the X-Men, I'm a diehard DC guy. Booster Gold, and I love my B and C tier characters. I love them as much as I love Batman and Superman. Booster Gold is one of my favorite freaking characters, and you're giving him to one of my most hated actors who, Stuber. Stuber is in no way Booster Gold. Booster Gold is a failed jock who time travels to try to find fame. So he's not even the right vibe.
We're gonna make him the guy that needed therapy because people didn't like the Eternals and was like, please stop talking about my six pack. It makes me uncomfortable. I was like, Spencer, you're muted. Spencer, you're muted. Spencer, unmute yourself. We missed all of that, Spencer, because you've been muted.
I was muting myself on my deck. I didn't realize I was muted over here too. But what I was saying is that he at least qualifies for that first part of failed jock because he bulked up, he got super swole, and then nothing happened with it, and he kind of he went over and said I'm buff now.
His annoying voice and just it's the worst. That was the worst casting they could find. People are gonna be like, "Oh, Mob just doesn't like that they're making an Indian guy Booster Gold." I don't care. Make him whatever. Make him an Indian guy. Just don't make him that Indian guy. I just don't like him.
Is he Pac? I thought he was Pakistani.
I honestly thought it was going to be Chris Pratt.
Do not get us in this debate. We are going to get in so much trouble.
Well, everybody thought it was going to be. When the second James Gunn was announced as running the DC universe and they announced Booster Gold, everyone was like, okay, that's going to be Chris Pratt.
I actually thought Chris Pratt
would have been great.
Hal. I thought Chris Pratt would have been Hal, in all honesty.
He would have been great Hal.
But yeah, I don't see it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make a lick of sense to me, other than hey, we're buddies. Can I have this gig? And this has been one of my biggest fears about James Gunn running the entirety of the DCU.
Well, look, this guy, this wiener of a man, he has invaded DC. He's now invading DC after he's already invaded Star Wars and he's already invaded Marvel. I don't want to see him in anything. Just no.
He got Ghostbusters. He got Ghostbusters too.
Oh, he was in Ghostbusters. Oh, man.
James Gunn, I know where he can go. How about instead we just have him go back to Scooby-Doo because he was great with that. I'll be okay with that.
I do like those Scooby-Doo movies. But anyway, I think it's about time to wrap up for this week. Big thanks to our entire panel. Lauren Connor from That Park Place, Martin Stone from That Park Place, Nolan Thunder from That Park Place, Spencer Bakuli from Bounding into Comics, and of course, my good friend Kevin Apollo. Lauren, where can people go to find more about you and what you're up to?
I've got some older articles written on That Park Place. You can find me at Lauren Connor on X, and you can find me at Lauren Connor 9030 on YouTube.
All right, Martin Stone, where can people find more about what you're up to, about the Lost Guys, about all that great stuff you're up to?
That Park Place. I did a little writing for That Park Place. I enjoyed it, like Lauren. And we've got that members exclusive of the Lost Guys. We talk about stuff that we really enjoyed in the past and we want other people to know about.
Should try Mystic Knights of Tananog.
We're thinking on it.
Should.
I need that episode, boys.
Yes, I do too.
Should join us.
Nolan Thunder, where can people find more about you? And you just put out a new video, a new documentary. So walk us through a little bit.
Yes. So this is Slamfest 99. This was an event that happened in Las Vegas, Nevada at a theme park that does not exist anymore. It was there to promote Super Smash Brothers, which was a brand new game, but some real world tragedies struck at the time and it didn't get very much media coverage. Then afterwards, the live stream for it completely vanished off the face of the earth. And if you want to hear more about it, I have a whole documentary on my channel, on my series called Lost in the Files, and my YouTube is at Nolan Thunder. If you like a mix of documentary, comedy, and a little bit of B-movie horror, it might be up your alley. So check it out if you like games.
I have a very brief Culture Casino, and I both have very brief cameos in that documentary.
And they did amazing. You'll love seeing them. So I recommend it. They are amazing people to work with, and they're so talented.
Spencer McCooley, tell us a bit more about Bounding into Comics, about your YouTube channel, anything you want to promote.
Yeah, for sure. First off, I want to say thanks for having me on, Marvin. This was a lot of fun. Obviously, I hang out in the chat normally, but I'm glad to be on the panel. I'm glad I made it on time-ish this week, and I wasn't popping up right now. You can find me on boundingintocomics.com every day, where we're putting up articles. Follow Bounding Into Comics on Twitter, on YouTube. You can catch me personally at Kabuto Writer Mav on Twitter, at Studio Kabuto on YouTube. And you can also catch me along with some of the lovely gentlemen on this panel over at That Game Place on YouTube. So go over there, check it out, subscribe, hit up everybody's stuff here. I know for a fact that I am super intrigued by Nolan's new documentary. I'm probably going to watch it right after this. So thanks for having me. Check it all out and hit everybody's subscription button. Do it now.
Kevin Apollo, what do you got going on besides Tooney Talk Wrestling on Tuesday nights?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm taking the summer off from wrestling because indie wrestlers are heart-wrenchingly brutal to deal with, and sometimes you just got to recharge. There's only what stupidity a person can absorb without accidentally sending themselves to jail for criminal homicide. So,
has the All-American Banger happened already?
Yeah, it was last week. How
was it?
It went really well. I was very happy with the turnout. The weather wasn't in our favor, though. It was torrential downpouring, and then all of a sudden, it was 457 degrees. And then where we were in the mall, it was under glass paneling, so it was the little greenhouse effect was a little rough, but everybody had a good time. Really good turnout. And like I said, while the show was happening, Tommy Dreamer confirmed that he can do my November 2nd show in the Palisades Mall. So I'm excited about that. Other than that, I'm just gonna take the summer off and hang out with you here on YouTube.
Yep. So you can always catch Kevin and I every Thursday night, along with some of the wonderful people that you see on the panel right now. 8 p.m. every single week. We're also on Tooney Talk Wrestling every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And of course, you can catch me over at That Game Place, the That Pock Place gaming channel, alongside Culture Casino, Jonas J. Campbell, Spencer McCooley, Nolan Thunder, Stone Loki. There's so many amazing, talented people. Space Dave, so many amazing, talented people over there. Of course, folks, please like, share, and subscribe. Please smash that like button. We love having you guys here. And yes, Erica, it is. That was only for 1 week that we were at 6 o'clock. So yes, it is going to be 8 p.m. Normally. All right. So for all of my wonderful panel here and all of us here at Tooney Town TV, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here!
Now, bury the platypus, feel the wrath of my thank you-inator!
Thank you, you piece of trash.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you!
Oh, I suppose you want me to say thank you. Well, you know what? Saying thank you is like jobbing. Thank you!
I got a little message. Thank you. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, thank you! Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
Thanks? For what?
Hi-ho from all of us here at Tooney Town. Thank you!
And viewers like you. Thank you.